My 5 steps on how you can nail or ace complex Euclidean geometry questions. Step number 1 is some of us forget the stuff that we've learned in the previous grades, such as the properties of your rhombus and then kite and parallelogram. If you don't know those properties, things are going to get really hectic for you. So that's my first step. Step 2 of 5 how to succeed in answering complex Euclidean geometry questions is work through one theorem at a time. So here's an example. If you want to build a house, you need to lay one brick at a time, then you have the layers, and then you have the full house. It almost sounds like a meal, full house. So you work through one theorem. So let's say, for instance, the theorem say the angle at the center of a circle is twice the one at the circumference of the circle. So that's the theorem that you're gonna work through, and then you work through worked out examples, and then you answer some questions based on that, and then you move on to the next theorem, and then you move on to the next one, and then you can start answering the complex ones. So that's step 2 of 5. Step 3 of 5 on how to answer complex Euclidean geometry questions. So look at this figure and look at this one. It's exactly the same exam question, but the one on the left, I highlighted most of the quadrilaterals in different colors. In this way, it looks less scarier. And number 2, in this way, I can also see what angle belongs to what quadrilateral. Maybe you can use this in the first few months when you start off with Euclidean geometry and later phase it out, or you can use it for the rest of your grade 12 and grade 11 math career. But use highlighters, because if you're going to use permanent or dark colors, you might remove important information. So this is step 3 of 5. Step number 4 of 5 on how to answer complex Euclidean geometry questions. So you need to ask yourself consistently questions when you want to answer complex questions. So I'm going to make an analogy. When you wake up in the morning, you go for a shower and then you go have breakfast. It's not the other way around. So it's not you have breakfast and then you take a shower and then you wake up. Okay, so the same analogy you can apply when you answer complex questions. So sometimes they will ask you to calculate x, but sometimes you need to calculate something else. And sometimes you can't calculate that something else and you need to calculate something else. So now you calculate this and then you then you can get this answer. That means now you can calculate x. So hopefully this video makes sense. But the important thing is ask yourself questions all the time when you want to answer these complex questions. My 5th and final step, step 5 of 5 on how to answer complex Euclidean geometry questions. So you've probably heard it a million times before, but it is true when they say practice makes perfect, but I say proper practice makes perfect. So if you, for instance, work through the past 5 to 8 years worth of questions just based on Euclidean geometry, this is exam type of questions, you'll notice most or almost all the questions are almost never the same. Okay, they're barely the same. So in this way, if you work through it, this is where you can actually test yourself. That's why you have to keep on consistently practice your exam type of Euclidean exam type of questions. But I promise you, if you work through, if you apply all the steps that I've mentioned in the previous videos, that you will be successful. So make sure that you share these videos and also go check out the other 4. Good luck.